Welcome back to Bad Musical Impressions and Awkward Crush Stories. How dare you to let me be your one and only? I promise I'm worthy of your hands. So come out and give me a chance. So that was Adele. um, This is the second half of Awkward Crush Stories. We started at the beginning before with, younger crushes. Now we can go into like middle of the road to adulthood crushes. Can't wait. It's so many of them. We're only going to get to a few. So, first of all, I just want to shout out my best friend. I was going through a very difficult time, and I was such an asshole during this period of liking this guy. And best friends for life. Best friends for life. Hoes before bros, or however you want to call it. But this happened. I was a teenager, barely. I liked this guy that just like randomly one day I go into the local convenient pharmacy. What am I going to call him? We're going to call him Bike Lock. So I go in, I think with my grandma at the time. I had my grandma or my mom. But yeah, I'm like totally tweening into tweens and go in, Bike Lock's there behind the counter, and I'm like, oh my god, his eyes. He's so beautiful. I can't believe this. And of course, being me, as if you watched the first video, if you didn't, a little background information. Hi, I'm a love addict. I fall in love like that. So I see you on the street and we're perfect together. So this happened here in this moment. Saw him, saw his blue eyes. I was like, my Elijah Wood of now? Like, is he my dreams come to life? No. So he ended up liking my best friend, who is still my best friend to this day. And it almost tore us apart. And I don't mean because of the fact that she was super upset that I liked him. She didn't give a shit. She was like, girl, he don't like you. It's fine. But for me, I was like, but you didn't feel the soul connection that happened when the quarters were being placed on the counter. Or me coming in with my $5 allowance to come get what would I have gotten from there? I don't know, like some shampoo or something. So I like him so much. And at the time, me and my best friend, we had a notebook that we would pass across the street to talk about things. And I was just like, I'm so mad at you. Can't believe you. I was very immature. I was a very immature person for a very long time. So, me being me now, had this happened, like, I wouldn't have given a shit. I would have just moved on because I've gotten, ooh, it sounds bad. I've gotten used to rejection. I'm the type of person I just can't live with regret. Like, if I like somebody, I need them to know. Like, I don't really care what the circumstances are, aside from like if they have a girlfriend. Like, I really do care about that. I don't do that stuff. But if I like somebody, I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, I'm just gonna wait until I'm gonna be like, hey, straight up, like, I like you. Because I need to know. I need to know if we're getting something popped off. Um, you win some, you lose some. In doing that, you lose a lot. But I never told him that I liked him. It just ended up being this thing where I was like, I refused to go to her house when he was over there. Like, I refused to talk to her there for a little while. And looking back, I'm just like so sad because we missed that time together, and you know, boys come and go, ops, but friendship forever. So, ooh, what's a song? Holding hands at midnight, neath the starry sky. It's nice work if you can get it. You can get it if you try. That was Peggy Lee. Because I couldn't think of anybody else to do at the moment. Oh, wait, what's that? You think you find your eye. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. Ah, we'll call him Doctor because that is what I call. That's what I called him to my friends and people that I didn't want to know who this person was that I was talking about. I think everybody has a teacher crush. Like at some point or another, like whether it's college, whether you're really little and they gave you extra snacks or something like that. I think everybody ends up having a teacher crush at some point. This was my teacher crush. And it went on 4 years. 4 years. For literal years. So this was around the time that Facebook was like burgeoning. It was coming up. It was living its best life. I am an old person. And so it was not common for teachers to add you on Facebook. Added me on Facebook. He had other people in there on Facebook too. But we were messaging back and forth. And I don't think, as an adult now, looking back, I'm like, I don't think that was appropriate at all. Around this time too, I was starting to dress a little different because I was trying to catch his attention. Awful. Just an awful little squirpy being. Little squirpy baby being trying to get him to notice that I was like, I'll shoot my shot. Let's do this. And so, like I said, it went on for years. He was my teacher, my Spanish teacher, which already, that's so hot. Like somebody speaks another language and you're going to add into that they've got like the bottom of an Adonis. Are you kidding me? It was over for me. My hormones were through the roof. Like, I had been like, my hormones were through the, oh my God, it sounds so old. But like, no, seriously, hands down, I'll say, out of any of my crushes, the most attracted I've ever been to anybody, like ever. So I'm just giving you what I'm working with. So we would get into a lot of debates. He was really religious at the time. I think that he still is. So we would get into debates on what was right and what was wrong with religion. We would get into like talking about what is really love. I would get in trouble in his class a lot and end up in lunch detention where it would basically just be him and me having these little debates. He was married, and it was one of the last days of school. I don't know what I thought I was doing. I think I was just like trying to go by his office to flirt or whatever. So it was the last day of school, and it looked like this lady knew me. She was in his office, and I recognized her as his wife. As his wife. I did not have any values or morals at the time. I was a teenager, so I apologize. But she looked like she knew me, probably seen the messages of me messaging her husband about things about like love and philosophy and things of that nature, wishing him happy holidays. So I knock on the door. She opens it to his like small little corner office right next to his actual classroom. And she looks at me like, and I look at her like, and she looks at me like, and he's just like, did you need something? Can I help you with anything? Those seconds felt so long. It felt like that would never end. Us exchanging glances and me not actually looking at him. Like, it felt so long. And after that, like, I still, because I knew that I had kind of been going there to flirt, so I was just kind of like, oh no, didn't eat anything. See, you guys are eating lunch. Love that. Perfect family. You guys look great. I'm going to roll out. And to this day, that was just like the weirdest and so embarrassing because, of course, she knew. Of course. Um, but yeah, just, I had gotten a couple hugs, in that time, which, like I said, looking back now, inappropriate. Not okay. It's not okay to do that. But I know now. You live and you learn. Um, once, twice, three times a lady. I've almost given up on bad musical impressions because I really just can't think of any at the moment. Um, unless you want to check out my cover of Cesar Neons. Um, because I don't speak Korean, so it's pretty bad. Um, mm, mm, I'm looking at my list of who is possible to talk about. Okay, just a really quick one. Another one from high school. There was a foreign exchange student from England, and I was at the time obsessed, like most everybody else, because I feel like in America we go through these cycles of like fetishizing countries and like everything is about there. So we're going off of, you know, not the Sydney White. I feel like it was a movie with Amanda Bynes somewhere over in England. I can't remember. But like, I'm still watching tween movies like deep in my teens, thinking that that's how the world is supposed to work. Like I said, problems, it's a disorder, it's fine. She's better now. But it made me really awkward around boys. So there's this exchange student. He comes like the full deal, like who you would expect. Like imagine like the most British teenage boy in your head, and that's exactly what this guy looked like. It doesn't matter who you're envisioning, that's who this guy was. So he comes and he makes friends with my one of my best friends at the time, and I'm like, oh my god, like is this an in? Are we gonna end up being obviously delusions of grandeur right from the start? Um, so he's just it's like weird attractive. Like I can't even describe it, but didn't know anything about him, just knew that he had a British accent and was so excited for that and wanted that to be in my life as I can do a British accent poorly, which I won't attempt now because I'll spare you. And I hit him up. Oh, I hit him up on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger, and I just like hit him up with a hi, like a hey, hi. I thought that he might have been gay. He had very nice eyelashes, and I told this to my friend who was like friends with him too. My best friend who was friends with him. And she told him. So he was like, I heard you. I heard you thought I was gay. And I'm like, it felt like some Sasuke betrayal. I was just like, I have been betrayed today, on this very day. And that hurt me. That hurt me so much. So I was like, as you were. I typed that with my fingers and I sent that to him, as you were. And we never spoke again. Saw him at the homecoming dance, but we never talked in person ever again. or on Messenger. Just because I didn't know how to explain my way out of being like, no, just kidding. I could have just done that, but I didn't. I didn't have the capacity or the brain power at the time to be able to think that maybe it could just be fixed by saying something as simple as that. But here we are. And never seen him again. He, like I said, he was an exchange student, so he was only there for a really short amount of time. And that's okay. You know? Who else? Oh, I need a song to break this up because it's starting to hurt a little bit. Do you know this one by the Blue Heart? Linda, 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 Linda. Yeah, that feels better. So, I don't wanna set the world on. Okay, so. Okay, so I will say, like I said before, I'm the type of person, I can't live with regret. I need somebody to know that I like them if I like them. Okay? I did not do this with this guy for a very long time. I worked with him at a grocery store, and that was cool. There was a lot of actually really cute people that worked there. I'm just realizing how shallow I sound. But I swear, it's more than that. It's just like an aura. If you were to actually see some of these people, you'd probably be like, that's the nerdiest fucking piece of shit that I've ever seen. And you'd probably be right, because that's more my type. Like, I don't know, different strokes for different folks. But this guy, he had that, like, air of, he wore a leather jacket. Like, come on. I don't know. He just had this air about him. And so I felt really, I wasn't even 21 yet, and he was older. So instantly there was like, oh, teach me something. um, and he worked in the deli, and I worked in the bakery. So we were like adjacent and constantly within sort of eyesight of each other. And I never told him that I liked him. And like I said, I'm really awkward with people. So there was a few times that I would say things and then we wouldn't talk for a few shifts. So I was like, oh my God, he knows that I like him. He doesn't like me. Like, what am I doing? I'm definitely in my 20s, though, when this happens. So this just shows you, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But it comes where he was leaving to start at a brewery, I think. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't put all of these details in there. As a chimney sweep, like he was leaving to be a chimney sweep. And like I should have said something way sooner because then I would have known the truth way sooner. So it's his last day. I'm sad about it because there goes my eye candy for the store. Everybody else is just kind of creepy. And I message him and I'm kind of like, hey, so I know that I never told you, but I liked you. And I was just wondering if you wanted to like talk sometime or go somewhere sometime. Because I'm an infant and I could not tell him that in person because he just seemed too cool. And he read it after like a few days and never responded. And that whole time had a girlfriend, which I didn't know and felt terrible about because I did a deeper dive into his Facebook and I was like, oh, oh no. So, what I learned from that, do your research. Also, just because somebody has an aura about them doesn't mean that they're single and available for you to tell that you like them. Um, oh, I'm just looking at the list and seeing and realizing, oh, do I want to talk about this one? Uh, Hold on. I need another song. Mm. A taste, kid, a basket, a brown and yellow basket. I just sent a letter to my mommy, and on my way I dropped it. I dropped it. Yes, on the way I dropped it. The little girl picked it up and put it in her pocket. So, what happened was, there was. Oh no, I pulled up the wrong screen. I don't know why I need to look at his name to be able to talk about it. What am I gonna call? Let's call him Dolphin because he was not a fan of this particular team, but he was definitely a football head. So Dolphin worked with me. So we're post 21 here. We're getting up there in years. We're like practically dead in dog years. And I met Dolphin working behind the counter of this place in Pennsylvania called Rutter's. And from the jump, didn't get along with him, hated him so much, like thought he was so annoying and thought he was just like the typical gym guy. And initially, I actually had a crush on the other guy that was there because, like, I'm crush trash. I love crushes, they feel great. And so I had a crush on the other guy, and then that guy left, but he was still there, and we started to get to know each other more. And my nickname around the shop was Sunshine because I was at a really good place in my life and like feeling super happy. So it was just like that energy was just, it was coming out of me. So we were working together for a while, and my schedule sort of changes and his schedule suddenly changes, and I'm like, oh, he changed his schedule to be on my schedule or something. Like, so weird. And it probably wasn't because of that. But I started hitting the gym and was feeling better about myself and was, doing some of the stuff that I needed to do. So I was feeling cuter. So I started throwing the claws out there towards him that, come on, like, just ask me out. Like, I know we work together, but what are we doing? So I started flirting and being more like cutesy or whatever around him, which wasn't our deal. Our deal was like me calling him an idiot and him being like, what are you talking about, Sunshine? So this goes on for a little while. Then I start working overnight, and we have this moment where he's like, so I never thought that like, it's so shitty. Like, let's not pretend. Like, it's kind of a gross thing to say, but at the same time, like, I was just like, oh my God. So he was like, I've never really like been into black girls before I met you, and now that I've met you, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. He's finally gonna tell me he likes me, because this whole time, like, I was sending text messages to my cousin being like, does this guy like me? Like, this is what happened today. Like, what's going on? Does this guy like me? Look at the way he looks at me. Come in really quick. And like, I needed somebody to decompress with. I needed to understand what was going on. So we were working together overnight one night. I go up to him in the back because we are just dead. It's a gas station, middle of the night, like 1 or 2 a.m. It's dead. I go up to him and I'm just like, hey. And he's telling me this, like, before you, I've never like been into like black girls, never really thought that it was something. And he was like, because I've met you, and I was like, I thought it was my moment, and that he was about to have like picked me out of the Pokemon Olympics, that he was picking me. And that's so sad. Like, that's so sad. Like, looking back on that, that's so just. I don't want that to ever be the way somebody confesses to me. Like, before my racial biases had been totally collapsed by your presence and understanding that maybe, there's different flavors. Um, but he told me that he liked the girl at his gym that made the smoothies and that they had gone out on dates. And I had already known that his mom and his family wasn't really cool with interracial anything. And so what ends up happening is he says that, and I'm just like, oh, really? Oh, do you? Oh, you like somebody from. Like, I made those faces and I said those things from my lips. That's the thing that happened. It's like, oh, do you like her? Because I live in a TV show in my head. So I was just like, this seems appropriate. This seems not weird at all. And I don't remember how it happened, but he said something super racially offensive, and I like flew to the back. Like, I was like running so fast to the stock room. I was like, no, you know what? I can't. Like, that's crazy. I don't want anything to do with you. Um, at the end of the night, even though my uncle or my cousin was supposed to come and get me, I was like, don't cockblock me right now, because he offered me a ride after he like had apologized profusely and everything about everything. And I let him give me a ride home. And I don't know what I was thinking. I think that I was still like, oh, so maybe he was just like saying that because like he's finally open to, which don't. Just don't. If somebody is inclined to like only a specific race, or if they like, you can't change the preferences of people and you can't change people's families, because he shortly after that broke up with that girl. Like, I think they had only gone out a couple of times. He had broken up with her and said that it was because his family was not accepting of it. So I don't know why I was wishing a hard ass life on myself, just because of the fact that, I thought this guy was my twin flame or some shit, and that's the reason why it had been so hard. Moral of the story: like people who like you back. I I mean, there's nothing else to do with being locked into houses and everything, so I might end up making more videos regarding dating just because I have more stories than just like one-sided crushes. um there's the time that I was messaging somebody on Tinder and they talked about wanting to murder me, so there's that. We could do that. Thank you so much for coming and for watching this, and I'll see you later.